All right, welcome back to Planet Gen X, a podcast that explores the unique experiences of those born between the 60s and 80s. Yeah, guys, we like to discuss all things like movies, gaming, ADHD, what the hell ever, anything nerd culture in general. That's pretty much it. So let's throw it out here to my co-host B. How you doing, man?
Well, I usually say I'm doing all right, but I'm not doing as all right as I usually am.
Oh, well, lay it on us, man. I'm sure all people are wondering what's going on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, all five people.
No, do you ever just have one of those days where you're on, right? Like, it's not even like everything clicks. It's just like everything is okay.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those, and that was great, but it's the comeback down from it. And it's, exemplifying all these other problems in my life right now. And I'm just like, kind of hard to get away from that. But otherwise.
So you're saying that like that was such a great thing that you're like really missing it.
Well, no, it was just like, I've had this head fog for years now. And a variety of other things like that. And I just had a good day to where, I got my 8 hours of sleep. I was able to think clearly.
Yeah.
I even looked like my skin looked better and everything,
Right. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm actually kind of, in a way, chasing that. When I lost a significant amount of weight about a year ago, I had some health issues like fatty liver, whatever they call it, fatty liver syndrome or something like that. And my health was just piss poor. Well, when I started losing a bunch of weight, like I was way heavy, dude. I was like 250. That's huge for me. Biggest I've ever been. And once I got that first 40 pounds off, like one day I just woke up and for like 3 months, I couldn't shut up about how great I felt. And like every day was just like on it, man. And eventually, I guess I just got used to that. I'm still trying to get the weight down, but the doctor says, well, everything's spot on, but it's just something like I don't know what it is, man. I had a great energy about me and it's not gone, but sometimes I have to fake it more than I did then. Definitely.
Yeah.
Cause I refuse to act like it's, like it's not there.
Right.
So if I feel bad, I'm still going to tell you, I feel terrific. I'm still going to sell it.
Same. But yeah, I just, I wanted to talk about that just because it was a thing. And, I'm sure a lot of us go through it, and it's really common when you try to change things in your life like that. This was completely random, just out of the blue,
Yeah.
And it's like part of me wants to chase that, but another part of me is like, well, you're this way because of these things, and you get that way, all of this has to change.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of self-reflection and stuff like that, and I'm always trying to improve. So I can understand those thoughts for sure. But I see, and there's things. I mean, like there's things obviously I want to improve, but there's also things about me I don't want to change that may actually need improving. Like other people would say, "Dude, you really need to change that." Well, you're probably right, but it's actually something that makes me me, so I want to leave that alone. But there are other things that I do want to change, and those are the things I'm trying to improve.
Well, I know we're going to be talking about therapy here and there and all of these, and that's one thing with me. If I go to therapy, it's like, what level of normalcy do I want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not, when I talk to the therapist I have to talk to, I'm not... I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for just somebody to just hear me that's not my wife, I guess, pretty much.
Right.
I got things to say. That's why I'm on here doing this. And she's heard enough for the last 15 years to where it's not much of a surprise to her. So,
right.
Yeah, it's nice to get
different. Got a canned response ready, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's her response. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
But I mean, like getting somebody else's feedback, letting you know you're not quite as crazy as you think you are or whatever, is helpful. It's very helpful because sometimes you need just you don't want to be in a vacuum of your own head either, just like you don't want to be in a vacuum of anything else in life where you just surround yourself with people that all yes you and
right.
all do the same, all think the same.
Yeah, but that's my spill. Let's go ahead and get on with it.
Get on with the news. Do me a favor, pull that mic a little bit closer to you too. I'm having a little rough time hearing you. News. Good old news. We got a ton of news today, so we don't specifically have a topic per se. Oh shit! I just realized I did not get you Picard episode 2. Damn it! That's what we should be talking about today, and that is my fault. I try and get him that stuff, and I was going to do it last night and totally forgot. I could have done it all day today. It just sucks. But anyway, in the news, well, I'll let you take this first one because these first couple of years you had put on here.
The absolute first one was yours, and it concerns Hogwarts.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that in with the other stuff later, so we can talk about that in just a minute because we got a lot of different stuff to talk about that game.
Yeah. Obits, man. A lot of people dying. There were like 2 or 3 other people that we're not going to mention tonight that died recently that were kind of iconic, important, or just held a place, right? The first one was Gerald Fried, however it's pronounced.
Yeah, I think it's Freed.
Usually is. Composer of the original Star Trek and Gilligan's Island passed. And those were some great theme songs, in my opinion.
Now, wait, I have to ask the question because I know he didn't compose the original Star Trek theme because that was Alexander Courage. I didn't read this article. Do we know what Star Trek theme he did?
Well, I had just assumed since it was Gilligan's Island and he was, of an age, that it was the original. No,
Alexander Courage did the original Star Trek theme.
Okay, so he did some scoring on Star Trek.
Okay,
the theme.
That makes sense. Sure. Well, I'm sure like the iconic stuff like dun 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 dun. That shit. That's probably him.
Right.
More than likely.
And maybe the same with Gilligan. I want to say he didn't do the theme song with Gilligan, but he was a scorer for those shows and others.
Yeah. Well, no doubt. I'm sure we all know his music. There was definitely Gilligan's Island and Star Trek on all the time in the afternoons when we were growing up. All the time.
Amen. Always.
And Oliver Wood also passed, which I thought was kind of funny because he's a character in Harry Potter. So I was like, Oliver Wood?
Yeah, that was kind of funny because when I bought that up, I was trying to find a link for it to put in the notes, and that the Harry Potter Oliver Wood kept coming.
Yeah, it kept popping in there, huh? Yeah. He's a cinematographer.
Yeah, so Face Off. Did he do something with The Rock? I can't remember.
Oh man, I was just looking at it too.
Talladega Nights, Bourne Ultimatum, Miami Vice stuff, Die Hard 2, just like a whole bunch of stuff that really falls into some of us. Would you consider Bourne stuff like nerd culture?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess on the fringe. I mean, like, well, I don't know. I never watched them until like way late, and I still am not sure I've seen all of them. And I really didn't care. I really more or less watched them just for something to watch. They're good. I don't dispute they're good, but I don't know, man. Nerd culture.
Nice meat.
I guess this would be like if we had a poll we could put up or something and people ask people what they thought, because there's probably be a lot of people would say, yeah, nerd culture for sure. And I would say, no. But taste,
when I think
guess.
of Bourne stuff, it generally has a lot of gray man themes. Right?
Yeah.
And that to me is what all of that series is all about. The gray man.
Well, it's so much older than the other stuff you mentioned. I mean, like newer stuff. Like it's less Gen X-y to me as far as like how new it is.
Right. Yeah.
If you follow
I can see how I'd be more millennial.
Yeah. So maybe it does fall in that category. Just didn't fall into it for us. We would just maybe go to see it just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
But maybe if we were younger, we would have been all over it. I don't know. Who knows? I never showed my...
Anyway.
Yeah. Moving on.
I don't know. I was just going to say, I don't know I can't remember who else died this week, but Law and Order guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Shoot. Damn it.
Belzer?
Richard Belzer died. Yeah,
Belzer. Yeah.
Belzer. Yeah, the Law and Order SVU. He was one of the cops. I remember when he first showed up there, I thought, oh, it's that stand-up comedian. This is kind of weird. Of course, you know, right. then Ice-T becomes one of the cops too eventually. So, or on some show. I don't know if it was one of those shows, but I mean, it just shows that anybody can be on there doing that.
Right.
But they don't do a bad job.
You know, I'm sure you've heard John Mulaney's take on Ice-T on Law and Order.
I hadn't heard it.
But no, it's friggin' hilarious because it's everything you think when you see him in a scene.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, tonight sometimes please go check out John Mulaney's set about Ice-T.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, new Hellboy announced.
Right, Crooked Man.
Is this the same guy that did the last one? I mean, as far as is this going to be the same actor who did the last one that played Hellboy?
I haven't been able to figure that out. It's apparently being filmed or filming starting in Bulgaria, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. when they first stopped, or when they first said that they were going to reboot Hellboy with that last movie, I was very much up in arms about it. One, because I liked Hilmar's stuff, or however you say that name.
Guillermo?
Yeah, Guillermo. Is that right? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I like his stuff a lot, and I really like, what's his name? Ron Perlman. Yeah, Ron Perlman. I've always just gravitated towards his stuff, and
I don't know a nerd that doesn't like it.
Yeah, he's been in. I mean, like, dude, Ice Pirates is like one of his first movies. That's one of the greatest nerd movies ever.
Well, he was probably one of the very few things I liked about the Pacific Rim stuff.
Oh, right, yeah, exactly. You know, so I was kind of against it, but then I saw the movie when oh man, it does. I hate to say it, but it's actually better. It's better than the Ron Perlman stuff and the Guillermo del Toro stuff.
I was going to say, like, when I go back and I think about the originals, it very much, there were some impressive makeup and special effects and whatnot on it, but it still had that kind of, like, producer in a basement feel, right?
Yeah.
This is why you don't want, in my opinion, nerds taking the wheel. You want nerds on your team. You want nerds with input.
Right.
But, the fanboy, they're going to stick to their guns and go in a specific direction.
That's true.
I will say that this is Millennium, who's going to be, I guess, releasing this or funding production. They also include a fourth installment of The Expendables is going to be coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, it goes with the tradition of ridiculous sequels for movies of that ilk, for sure.
Right.
You know, like The Expendables 25 in 50 years, and they're all in their little walkers walking around. Oh, go get the AK-47, Bruce. Oh, yeah, Bruce has got dementia. He's probably dead by now. Yeah, it's probably not going to work.
That was kind of one of the themes in it, right? In the other...
Do you know, I've seen bits and pieces of those movies, man, but I just can't.
Yeah, I can't either. But I seem to recall a few spots where, it was like, I'm too, what was his name? Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
That's what I was about to say. I'm too old for, my time is precious, man. I cannot afford to be wasting my time with movies that I'm not sure about. And that series is one of them. Hmm. I've lost my time to many movies I wish I could get back, man. There's been some bad ones. Man. Oof. Especially recently.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad. I hope. I mean, if it's the same crew that did this last one, then I'm all for it because they did a really good job with it.
I'll have to go and watch that. I had an issue with the just the presentation of Hellboy in it from what I had seen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I thought I was going to be disappointed in all that and how he was, and I just was not. I think the comedy was there and everything. That's the part I thought was going to be missing, and it wasn't over the top. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to move shift gears over to the tech sector for a second because it looks like you got one here for Apple.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
There were a lot of people talking about the upcoming iPhone 15, right? Theorizing on what's going to be on it and all this other stuff. And I'm like, until it's packed and sealed, you don't know anything.
Yeah, right.
Well, big news is that they basically did a reduced order for TSMC, which who kind of manufactures their chips.
Right, yeah, they do all the chips for them. Well, just about everybody.
Right, yeah. And I guess there's some concern over that. I don't know. I don't remember Apple being in the news outside of right to repair stuff and dead AirPods.
Yeah, I'm big against the. You gotta be able to repair your stuff. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where people be like, why are they reducing their order? Do they not expect to sell as many of these? I mean, who knows?
Honestly, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, in my opinion, it has a lot to do with what's going on with these last 3 generations of their phones. I just recently got an iPhone 12 because it's got all that awesome hardware and everything in it, but I'm not paying the new phone price.
Yeah, and isn't like the 13 actually a little worse on battery too? I think most people would rather have the 12 than the 13 from what I'm hearing. Right.
I have heard that. And the only thing I really know about the 14 is they have a lot of shake reduction in the filming, and that's really it.
Well, there's no doubt. We've had the conversation about your video compared to mine. I've got a fairly recent Android phone, and I hate my video. Just clarity. The clarity of your video compared to mine is off the charts, and that is something that Apple has always had, and it's a great selling point. But they've always been ridiculous with their prices, man. You can go back to the days of the Apple II, and it was the same way. They think their shit is like made with gold or something, titanium. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's been substantiated, right? Up until probably the 9 or 10 release date, lines out the door every day, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's people buying into it, man, but I just don't get it. I really don't. Because they do not treat customers right as far as like forcing you out, forcing upgrades, forced obsolescence. I mean, ridiculous prices, dongles for ridiculous things like a headphone jack or something like that. I mean, it just gets ridiculous. And I mean, you're charging a ridiculous price too. And then asking people like my dad will take a broke phone up there and they'll say, sorry, you just might as well just go buy another one because we're not going to fix this. That's ridiculous. And plus, you should be able to fix it yourself. Right. But both of us have been in this business and fixed phones. It was a lot easier back in the day. Even when they didn't want you to back then, it was easier then than it is now.
Yeah. Which is why you have all this right to repair stuff going on. But yeah, they don't give you external storage. You got to take the screen off to get to the battery in some of them.
It's ridiculous, man. Oh, it's just like my car, dude. I bought a Acura a year ago, and one of my headlights went out, and it's the low beam side, and it's buried inside there. They recommend you take off the bumper and everything to change out your low beams. I can get to the high beams and change them out, but who the hell does that? You do that like once in the ownership of that car, maybe, because you hardly ever use them. So I mean, it's just a back-ass word of shit, and it doesn't make any sense, man. And I get so irate on the right to repair. I totally am in support of that.
Yeah.
You got me an early rant going on here.
That's all good, man. We're on the tech though, so I think, are we good with Apple?
Yeah. As little as we can talk about Apple, I'm happy with it. Can't stand them. AMD.
AMD.
Yeah. They think that NVIDIA. Let me just stammer a little bit more. They think that NVIDIA uses like using their AI way too much to resolve like screen upscaling and stuff like that. Like there's no power in the processor. The AI is making all your stuff look good. Is pretty much what, if you read between the lines, is what they were saying. And they promise that theirs is going to be more efficient, I guess. They don't want you paying for features you don't need, essentially, is what the headline was.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to feel about that. You know, a lot of times it falls into that category of, you know, like planned obsolescence and, you know, a bigger group of sales at a lower price point as opposed to whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this.
I don't know what to think of anything with the video market. I mean, it's just AMD comes out with some decent stuff, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. And then NVIDIA is like pushing ridiculous power levels and heat levels to get, you know, it's like, what in the world are we doing here? You know, I don't feel like there's competition. What's that?
Well, there's not. I was just saying that's one of the things I don't like about NVIDIA. You know, they put these huge price points on new products that get marginally better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I love that Intel's trying to do something. And you can see that they're working hard to try and make their drivers and stuff better, because it was a real shit show when they first came out with their drivers and user interface for their install packages and stuff like that was just all jacked up. But they've done a lot better. They're using some weird way to emulate DirectX 9 and 11 and stuff like that. So they're really DirectX 12 cards, but people are buying them up because of the AV1 encoding, which is you know, something that's, you know, that's our future right there. Eventually every card will have it. But I like seeing that, but they've got a ways to go too. They're not offering any competition in the high end for sure against NVIDIA. Right. AMD gets close, but they're just on a different track altogether. But it'd be interesting to see when they come out with their FSX 3.0 or whatever it is, because it doesn't even need, like, you know, NVIDIA's has to use their AI and stuff like that, and AMD's version doesn't have to, and, which is pretty much what they're saying. Well, hey, you know, we can deliver this, and it can give you the same performance that they're trying to charge you twice as much for, or something like that. And it is ridiculous.
Well, you and I are also old enough to remember a point in time where we were the few that knew who AMD was, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd been
common chip manufacturer, but then they wanted to go up against Pentium.
Yeah, man.
That's where they got their name.
I've always backed them. You know, for a long time, until their shit just made me mad because, you know, I can't even we'll get off on another tangent there with all that stuff. But, yeah, they have the capability to really bring it to NVIDIA, but they're just not hitting the mark.
Right. We got anything else specifically tech?
I don't think hardware-wise we do.
Right.
Get kind of in the gaming world of tech now.
Well, we did have. Well, yeah, it's all gaming, I think. Well,
I guess I could talk about the Meccano thing. I don't even see on.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
Well, that's a British. I don't know how much of that made it over here. I don't know why I don't even see it in my notes for whatever reason. Oh, there it is. Meccano was like an erector set type deal. It was big in Britain. I'm sure they had it over here sometime. Spin Master has the rights to it, and apparently there's like one factory in Europe that's been making this stuff. And this is like old, like if you think of Lincoln Logs and how iconic they are, stuff like that, then this for definitely for the Brits, Meccano is that. And they're shutting them down, man. This is it. They said the Spin Master can't really keep up. Nobody wants it, so it's the end of. I bring it up. What's that?
I said I was just going to say, kids these days, they don't build with that kind of stuff.
No, well, it's stupid.
Why not? Right?
Yeah, well, why not though? You should be building with it. You can still make some great. If you're an engineer, if you're a kid who wants to be an engineer, you should be playing with this stuff. Now I know there's I wouldn't say better. There's newer stuff out, you know, like Lego had put out their stuff more professional stuff to be building with. And I don't know if Erector still makes some kind of stuff, but There is a place for it, but I guess, it's whether or not that place can justify it being made, and obviously it can't. So the only reason I bring it up is just because it's iconic status. I'm sure some of you know of it. If you're British listeners, you definitely know of it.
Right.
But yeah, they're shutting down, and it's kind of sad, man. We recently got news that it's a little newspaper that we get that has our coupons in it every week. It's like literally the only newspaper we've seen in years, and it comes every single week. And they said last week that it's going to be the last one this week, and we got the last one. And I can't help, when I threw it away, which I always do, I couldn't help feeling a little bit like, man, this is a little sad. Just like the Meccano story, it's like a little sad that this is like a piece of history of the newspaper, and there's still newspapers around, but this is it. This won't be the last newspaper in my house, probably.
Well, I mean, that was also an experience that I don't know if you ever enjoyed it. We were at an age where, as newspapers were falling away, you may or may not been of an age where you read the paper every day.
Yeah. I read it sometimes, not every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have it with a cup of coffee in the morning, just like, the iconic Norman Rockwell stuff.
Well, you know what really kind of threw me off from reading the paper every day is when I started trying to as a young man, but I would fight with that damn paper trying to get it to where I could fold it up just right, and I would get so pissed off at it, like, screw this, I don't need it anymore. It wasn't until my mid-late teens when I finally could, decided that I would master the art of folding the paper right or holding it right. But yeah, it's definitely something that I will miss as far as something was always around. My very first job ever was as a paper boy. That sucked. It was a hard job for a little scrawny kid like me at the time. All the guys, they had like mopeds or something to get them around. I was walking around with these giant heavy sacks, and I probably weighed like 80 pounds or something like that. It sucked. It did. My mom ended up helping me. I was just covering for the guy for a week, our paper boy. He knew I was interested. He was like, okay, well, I'm taking vacation. You can try it out for a week. Yep, that was all I needed, man.
Right.
But it's one of the few jobs you can get, like, at 10 years old. I wasn't even that old. Let's see. I would have been about 7 or 8. And getting a job at that age, it just didn't happen. And I wanted to work.
Well, back then, now you can go work at a, meat packing, industrial cleaning company.
Can you? Shoot, I don't know. I mean, you always heard that you could work at 14.
Right.
And that's what I did.
It was a news article. We can maybe touch on it later.
All right. Okay, so yeah, that covers the old Meccano stuff. It's a shame. I hate hearing about like old things like that just disappear.
Yeah.
Well, sad.
I mean, it's going to happen to everybody at some point in their life, right?
Yeah.
Stuff from your childhood is going to go away.
I get, and that's one reason for this channel. I'm a very nostalgic guy. I like rehashing the past, talking about stuff we grew up with, especially if there's some form of it still around, especially. But anyway, we're sliding into the gaming part of it now that we got that out of the way. And
I don't see a link for it, though.
What's the Atomic Heart thing?
Heart?
Yeah, well, that's just something I just threw in there because I didn't see an article for it. Because I'd seen it on the torrent sites. The dev leak was out all over the place. And I also knew it had already been in the news because of the... it's kind of like the Harry Potter thing. It has issues. People want to be... I don't even know why. Do you know why?
I do.
Okay, well, tell us why.
It's funded by some of the oligarchs in Russia.
Oh, that's right. It's Russian. That's right. I didn't know why.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
So it's basically Ukraine banned it, and they're like, if you don't like, or if you like it, you're a Nazi, whatever. I don't.
Oh yeah, screw that, dude. That is exactly like the JK thing with Hogwarts Legacy. Same thing.
Right.
Just play the game, people. Just enjoy the game. Who cares? It's just a game. Yeah. It really is. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to save the world. It's not going to end hunger. It's not going to make being Brian rich. But if you want to help us do that, click the like and subscribe button.
Hopefully that's not going to make us rich.
Maybe one day.
But it will help.
Yeah. But yeah, Atomic Heart, there it is. It looked like kind of a neat looking game. If I wasn't so embroiled in Hogwarts Legacy, I love it so much. I would probably check it out. But
the idea is you've got an atomic heart, right? You're kind of like a cyborg, maybe. I haven't seen a lot of it. That's kind of the feel I got from what I've seen of it.
Yeah. I don't know what the story is, but it looked nice. I believe it's open world too, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I think it is.
Bits and pieces.
Which would definitely attract me. I do like the open world stuff. Also, we finally have early access dates for the Diablo 4. Woohoo!
Finally, right?
Yeah. Which, it's coming out in June, so they got to get on this stuff real quick.
Well, it's coming out for consoles in June.
Consoles, yeah. But, I mean, look, they probably pretty much have most of it, and Diablo Immortal's probably pretty much the core of the game, if I had to guess. That's probably the point of Diablo Immortal, was to test out stuff they knew they were going to put in Diablo 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like anything in Diablo Immortal was done with Unreal, right?
Are they using Unreal Engine in Diablo 4?
I don't know, but most people are at this point, right?
Yeah, well, I would hope so, but
wouldn't they?
There's a lot of people with their own engines that I guess don't want to pay licensing fees.
Right.
That's the only thing. Well, I mean, I don't know how even Unreal's fees are nowadays. Are they open source, or surely they have to pay something nowadays still.
I would guess.
Yeah, I would think so for sure. But I know that what's the Half-Life people? They got their own engine. There's 2 or 3 that still use their own engine, so maybe Blizzard would certainly seem like one of them too, because I've never known them to use an Unreal Engine. Have you? For anything?
I seem to recall 1 or 2 titles, but none of the big stuff.
Really? Yeah, maybe they have. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess because I was hoping, and I don't really even care anymore, but back 6 months ago, 7, 8, and 9 months ago, when I did care, I tried to get in for the beta. And the article said that if you didn't hear nothing in November, then you're SOL. So I guess I'm SOL. Are you?
Right. Yeah, same.
Yeah. Our friends who are always all over Diablo, I'm sure they got in.
Well, one of them anyway. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we know the wife did for sure. We don't know about the other. But we'll see. Maybe they both got in. I mean, shit, he puts enough time in that game, the Immortal game. Gonna have to do an intervention.
Find it out.
Gonna have to do it like we did. We never did with EverQuest, although we probably should have.
I tried on occasion.
You gotta come up for air sometime, man.
Yeah, I was like, you can come back and do this tomorrow. You know that, right?
Yeah. It's not gonna. Boy. Yeah, we probably don't need to go down that road.
Right.
Well, okay, so that takes us into old Hogwarts Legacy. There's so much different stuff to talk about with this. You had mentioned right at the beginning about multiplayer. I got all excited because when I first saw this, I was like, multiplayer, yeah? Well, then, obviously it's clickbait, so I had to watch the video. And it has a multiplayer that the fans made, man. They're already deep inside this game trying to mod the hell out of it, and there's mods all over the place. But they've already, because this is speaking of Unreal, because this is an Unreal-based game, people have experience with modding and it just being as open as it can be, and they probably know all the tools to open this stuff up anyway. Back in the day, I could actually mod a little bit myself. I haven't tried in years. But yeah, they had ideas. I forget what they said. Oh, it was for the Skyrim one, I think, maybe. That's who originally did one for Skyrim, and
Skyrim's got so many freaking mods.
Yeah, so they have and it's not out to everybody yet. A few people have it, and then it's going to be free eventually. But it wouldn't surprise me if Portkey Games or Avalanche, whatever, they end up doing it themselves. Because you were talking last week. You said I said I hope for DLC, and you said, well, hadn't you heard? Sounds like there's not going to be any DLC, and I did literally right after we finished recording. Right. I had saw info about that, and not like a day later, maybe 2 days later, there was another dev that came out and said, Well, yeah, that's true, but we haven't even gotten everything out yet. Like, there's still Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch, which PS4 and Xbox One, they'll be out in April. Nintendo Switch will be out something like maybe it was June, maybe it was September. I can't remember. It's a couple months after. No, maybe May. It's May. That's when it is, I think. Nintendo Switch is in May. So they're already they're still trying to roll out the base game. And I think it's pretty safe to say, and especially since I think it was yesterday, you also had a kind of an investor thing happen, because I think their quarterly investors meeting was happening too.
Right.
Yeah, that was Friday. Yeah, so they also are over the moon about this game. All the numbers came out. In fact, I was supposed to have them up. It's like ridiculous numbers of money-wise, in-game hour-wise, just, stupid amounts. Yeah,
like everything.
And again, this game is not fully out on every console yet. So once they get that out, it's pretty clear that they have full intent to continue doing stuff with this game. And I can see this going on for years and years and years. I said it to you last time. They have a core here that if they were to abandon and just, not expand on in any way, it just seems like they're just leaving money on the table, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it really is the best, I think, Harry Potter franchise game that's been released.
It definitely is. I've played a lot of them.
Yeah. To me, though, I'm playing it. I plan to continue playing it. It's still just another WB game to me. Of course, I'm not a big Potterhead, right? So,
yeah.
That may be part of it, but it's just the same old story. Your main mission, your side missions, collectibles, do this, do that. A lot of the stuff concerning what you wear and things like that, it's all really reminiscent of things like The Witcher series. So really, it's just taking a popular IP and putting it through this onboarding process for video gaming.
Which is and you're not wrong about that, and it definitely does help to be a Potterhead. There's no doubt about it, but it has been tried. And you talk about that IP. It has been tried so many times, and every one of them fall flat on their face. And that's why everybody's so excited about this. Because Avalanche, their last game was Cars, and they were asked to produce this. So, kudos to them for one. They knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. From a company who has, as far as you know, no experience doing this. And like you say, the basics, that's kind of, you could lay any game over the top of it, sure. Mm-hmm. But I also think there's things in it that capture something that is uniquely Harry Potter. The broom flight, I love a lot. I haven't got it, even though I prepaid and I will get one of the special, mounts. I haven't got my mounts yet. So I love flying around with the broom. There's just things about it that, and again, I think being a Harry Potter fan probably does take it to that extra level, for sure.
I was actually thinking that earlier because I got my broom, and it was nice to be able to freely move around in open space with that.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, if I were a Potterhead, this would probably be amazing.
It is. It absolutely is amazing. And really, for me, the thing that makes this game stand out over all Harry Potter games is the scope. It's got scope, man.
Yeah.
And it's got expandability. There's so much talk about what you could do. Well, right off the bat, you put a Quidditch game in there of some kind. Boom, DLC. That's just one thing. Then so you start out at year 5. You could come out year 6 and have a whole new story based on that. Dumbledore, I believe, can come in next year. So let's say they have a year 6 story. Dumbledore would have his first year in Hogwarts. It's either next year or year 7, but I think it's year 6 that Dumbledore will be 10 years old. Or 11, I'm sorry, 11 years old. So there's those possibilities for different things. There's just all kinds of things. I've watched a bunch of different videos, and lots of people have good ideas. And I think that these people kind of like look at stuff. They're looking and seeing what people like and what, you know, and listening to people. So they have plenty of ideas to draw from before they even get started.
Yeah.
But
well, I was also thinking about like the audio scope of it. You know, I was saying before, like all the VO work was on point. I
yes.
did find a couple of exceptions here and there, but you know, it was more about like how the line was delivered or something like that.
Yet there's one I can't stand that I can call out right now is the
Mr. Lady.
Are you talking about the bartender and the three broomsticks?
Yeah, like in the development, they wanted to be offensive apparently, and she got a tag like Mr. Girl, Mr. Lady. Something.
Oh, really? See, that right off the bat, I'm like, who the fuck voiced this? Because I'm staring at a straight woman, and that is a man's voice all day long coming out of there. And after a while, it did almost start to sound like a female. Almost. But it was like after we were in some mission and she was talking and talking and talking. But at first, dude, I was like, what the fuck? Who did this? I don't know who the voice artist is. I mean, I know nothing about it. And I didn't know if there was some kind of agenda. I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, it was annoying. I thought
I can tell you what's going on is it's the fight back against her.
Is that all it was?
JK's visage, I don't know what it is, of being like anti-gay, anti-trans.
She's not anti-gay though. She's made a statement about women being women, and she made Dumbledore gay in the books, dude. There's other gay characters too. Dumbledore's gay. There's no way that she's against gays. And I know I'm not yelling at you. I'm just saying, like, if people think that, then they're just not even, they're ignorant to the fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, okay, she definitely has an opinion about trans, but nobody could say anything about her being against gays. She's definitely down with that. I think probably everybody in her life is gay.
The reason I say that is because that this is the wrong way to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you may be further in the game than me, but there was one lesbian character that I met for all of a minute, and I've never seen again. And I don't know of anybody else in there being gay. The one trans person, you know, it's put in there to say, hey, look, we're friendly with these people.
Oh, you're saying it's an inclusive thing.
Well, yeah, but it's single instances. You know, it's like
random.
You know, we're just dropping that in there so you know that we're okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to like what.
It's a virtue signal.
What the people want would be like, okay, why can't there be other trans or gay, lesbian, the whole LGBTQIA plus whatever in the game? But this is kids. Like,
well, here's another perspective on it though. Let's say, I mean, okay, so we're in the 1800s. Gay and trans and all that stuff. While there, I'm not denying they're not there. And in quiet corners, they're actually openly doing their thing. But for the most part, that ain't happening. So I would take umbrage with it being overly littered with that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you walked into a room and it's all lesbians in the three broomsticks or something like that, I would be like, okay, that's not accurate. There might be actually 30 lesbians in the three broomsticks for real if it was in the 1800s, but they wouldn't be. You wouldn't know it.
Well, that's what got a giggle out of me was like you go into a bar called the Three Broomsticks and it's a lesbian bar.
Yeah, right. Definitely. But yeah, I didn't notice the other ones if they're there. I just noticed her, and it didn't have anything to do with the fact that it was just a wrong voice. For what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing, and you know how I'm big on dialects and picking them out and saying, oh, well, they're from such and such, and it bugs me, especially doing voiceover work, doing characters when I'm creating characters. Just hearing stuff like that just drives me nuts. It's like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even look right. To me, it's it's like an error. It's an error, like they missed. Like if there was an editor, he should be fired. That's what it's like to me.
Well, that's another thing. It does feel like a lot of the dialogue is George Lucason.
Yeah.
It's like, who the hell thought? Like, it's this thing I've always had about how people in media communicate, right?
Yeah.
Because they're reading a script, or they're coming from a script, or it's all about getting the perfect take and all this other stuff, and there's no realness to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all fabricated, synthetic.
Yeah, you don't have these moments where somebody butts into your conversation, or you stammer or stutter or cough, or
like what we're doing versus what they're doing. Like we're by the seat of our pants. So like if I fuck up, we're leaving it in. Right. I'm not going to cut it out, and I have no standards like they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also don't have somebody sitting in a room on the other side of a glass panel saying, "Okay, give me a shock and surprise take."
I won't tell them. I won't tell them they're back there. We'll keep the illusion alive. Yeah, there's nobody over there.
Ignore that guy.
Ignore the man behind the curtain. Let's see. So, did I say everything? Oh, the DLC confusion. I straightened that out. Oh yeah, it earned 850 million. Sold more than 12 million units in the first 2 weeks.
What was the asking price on that, by the way? The game?
I pay. Okay, so for it's ridiculous, dude. I was looking at the pricing last night because it depends on what console, what version. I paid like $80. It was like $79.95 or $96 for the digital deluxe edition. That means I have no hard copy. That gave you 3-day early access and a couple of a mount and a couple of outfits and shit. I think there was a $59.99 one. I think that's the lowest. I think that's another issue too. Like PS4, so PlayStation, all the PlayStation 5s run the same, but Xbox, you have the S and the X, and the S's are severely. I mean, we're talking 12 teraflops for the X and 4 for the S. And many people are like, dude, it's hard to develop for that because we're trying to hold a standard here. And while the X can really make this game look great, the S can struggle like hell. So there's other games where people are like, well, we just can't do that. So the PS5 will have it, and you can't get it on the Xbox because if they can't develop for both, they're not going to develop for either.
Right.
So you lose. And that's a problem. I think Microsoft definitely needs to do something about that. There's not enough price difference for me to not buy the X. When you're looking hardware versus money and hardware specs, spend the money, get the X. You get the drive, which you might not use, but you still can put your old games in there. That's why I needed it for my old Xbox One Cyberpunk game. You getting the the best video capability that you can get in an Xbox. I mean, it just makes sense to do it. You're getting the best speeds, ray tracing. Of course, the S has ray tracing, but it's not going to look good because it can hardly push it.
Exactly. Because it's got it doesn't mean it's going to use it well.
Yep. Buy the X. Do yourself a favor. Because hell, they have those things now where you can get the payment plan. It's like there's like no interest on it. You get the Game Pass, 2-year commitment. You're getting the box. You're paying a monthly fee. You're actually not paying any more than you would pay out the door. I did the math on it.
And plus, if you're getting a pass, you're getting more content, right?
Oh my god, dude, the games. Plus, if you get Game Pass Ultimate, dude, you're getting PC games as well, which I didn't even realize I had until about a week or two into it. And I'm like, I want to play this game, and I'm like, I wonder if I have PC Game Pass, and I did. It's cool. I mean, it's cheap, dude. $16. I know it's 14, whatever, but out the door after taxes, it's like 16. I got the bill yesterday. $16, dude. You can't beat it. They roll games in and out all the time, but all your favorites are on there. And if they're not, they might be at some point. But yeah, that's one thing I think Microsoft's done out from the get-go is just getting games to people. And if you're into multiplayer, getting into a multiplayer game and interacting with people is just way better on Microsoft. I feel weird in a PlayStation environment. We have my father's 4 right now, and it just feels weird trying to play. My wife wanted to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, so we borrowed my dad's PlayStation. She got the game from somebody else. It is incredible, bro. Have you played it at all?
No.
Oh man, it's what the game should have been back in the day. You know what we all dreamed when we saw 10. It was like, man, what if 7 was like this? That's this. That's what this is, and I love it. I haven't played. Well, actually, I have, because she gets to points where she's like, "You got to get me past this." Yeah,
right.
You must try it. I hate that it's not on Xbox. Like it's weird because Final Fantasy VIII Remake's on Xbox, but 7 is not. Weird.
Price points, man. Price points.
It's just weird.
So we got like a couple more things in the game. So
that Son of the Forest, man. It is. I know you don't know much about it. There was another game, The Forest. I love how they name it like it's an old monster movie or something. Right. Sons of the Forest. Had a huge start, man, and I was looking at it early on too because I do love open world games so much. This was one on the list of ones to look out for, and I didn't know what the Forest was before that, but it looks fun. I mean, it looks like it's a survival game. It's kind of like you're in the woods doing your thing game, and you're trying to survive and live your life, and it's open world, and apparently a lot of people really were into it. The old one because they wanted to get all over this one.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I have heard some people remark back before it was released, like, this doesn't feel like a real game, right?
Yeah.
When it was the media that they were releasing.
Right.
So apparently they're able to survive bad publicity.
Oh, wait, no, this isn't that game. This isn't that.
Oh,
that is the one that's the other one I was wanting really bad. That is oh shit, if you hadn't said nothing. God, I can't think of the name of it now. But yeah, no, they really aren't a game. If they are, they do have bad publicity because they're not doing anything right. But it looks like a whole scam. And for what? That's the thing. There's no end game to it, and that's why you almost have to give them just a shred of, maybe there really is a game. Because it's not like they're taking pre-orders or taking anybody's money or anything like that. So they're, other than just clout and, having your name out there for a minute or something like that until it gets trashed when everybody realizes what you did. Right. I don't know what the end game would be, really.
Yeah.
So, I was hoping the name would come to me, but it didn't.
As far as Sons of the Forest is concerned, it looks like it's $30, right? Asking price for early access.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's another one of those early access games too, and Brian and I have whole feelings on that. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out on console. It looks like, and that's it. Yeah, and that's another one of those that's in perpetual early access.
Right. Like
never going to come out of early access. It doesn't look like. I would think they would have to, when they come on console, they would have to say, this is the game. If they don't say it's the game at that point, then you can just fuck right off, because I don't believe it's early access at that point.
Yeah, I don't get early access on consoles. That doesn't make as much sense to me.
No, I mean, if they, we'll have to, I hope I remember to check that when it happens, because I'll have to rant on that one if they try and pull that bullshit. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a time. How long are you supposed to be in early access?
Night is saying Sons of the Forest is going to be 6 to 8 months.
That's reasonable.
That's reasonable. Anything less than a year,
sure.
Even up to a year, maybe.
Reasonable. Man, and in some cases, if it's a really big project and you're keeping everybody up to date like constantly, I'll give you more than a year. But I mean, dude, if you're 3 years, 4 years in, nah, ain't happening. Not feeling it.
It brings back some vibes for CDPR and Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah, Cyberpunk was that way. Well, hell, actually, Hogwarts Legacy was a little bit that way. It suffered from long delays too.
Right.
It's proven to be worth the delay. I think ultimately Cyberpunk, did it have to crawl along before it could get off. But it seems like it's finally gotten there. But
Well, I mean, the devs did the right thing. They came out and apologized profusely to the players. They fixed the things that the
yeah,
players were bitching about. So maybe they screwed up, but kudos to them for adjusting.
they stuck with it. They stuck with it. They still support the game. The game's a great game.
Yeah.
In fact, if there's a time when I stop playing Hogwarts Legacy, I am immediately going back to Cyberpunk unless something else drags me away. We've got one more game related thing.
Man, Konami.
Yep.
Some of my favorite games, Konami.
Bringing back some remakes. Speaking of remakes earlier with Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid 3. Probably the only Metal Gear that I really, really loved.
Right.
There was a lot of good ones, but I loved that one.
I was going to say they were almost all pretty good.
Yeah.
My thing about that is, I always go back to this meme of, somebody put a box with an exclamation point over it and said, I bet you can hear this box.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking now, Metal Gear Solid 3, that was the first PlayStation 2 one, wasn't it? That was like the first one that really had like good graphics.
I think you're right.
Because I think it wasn't until we got PlayStation 2s that we actually started getting some decent graphics. Even the PlayStation 1 is as awesome as it was at the time. The graphics were just pretty janky. But the 2 was like night and day. The 2 took it to a whole another level. And I remember that being one of the so Final Fantasy X and Gran Turismo 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 were the top games for that console. You had to have them, and it was hard to find too. If you think finding a PlayStation 5 is actually harder now, but it was hard back then to find PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah,
but it seems like it's harder to find a 5. I don't even understand that. When I wanted an Xbox, I went right to Microsoft's site, bought an Xbox. I don't understand why you can't go to Sony's site and buy a PS5.
It's called scalpers, man.
That's insane, dude. Why don't they? I don't understand their yields.
They did that.
I just don't understand their yields.
Now, well, it was an idea of an investment. It's like, I'll put this much on it, put a markup, sell it, make a profit. It didn't move though, because people are like, "Screw you, I'm gonna wait."
Oh yeah, I don't know, man. It amazes me how this is every single time with Sony. Every time a new PlayStation comes out, you cannot get one.
Right.
Every time.
Well, it actually paid off with the 4s. I don't know if it'll do the same with 5, but the 4, the PS4 Pro, got a major drop at about the point in time where I was thinking about getting one.
Yeah.
Way after release.
Yeah.
And that was a huge boom.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is slightly irritating. Well, anyway,
Castlevania, that's one of those franchises where I'm hearing the theme song right now. I can remember hours of playing like the first one. And there were so many others that were just kind of hit or miss. But I think it was
just like the Zelda series. It was suffered from exactly the same thing. Hit, miss, hit, miss.
Yeah, like Sanguine of Night, something like that. One of the other ones was really, really good because it was one of those first 3D type games.
Yeah. And I just remember Castlevania always being so damn hard, man.
Yeah.
Just a really hard game. All of them.
And well, it always had great composition for the music too.
Yeah, they had wicked music. That was one of the things I think was their selling point too, was just that music. It was a big deal to get to any kind of sound in those old consoles. That's pretty much probably what sold the PlayStation, was the price, because there were other consoles like the 3DO that could do like disc quality audio, but man, did that make a big difference when it came to games. Having the CD quality audio and just having a whole soundtrack on there made a big difference.
Again, with PlayStation and Sony, you're also looking at and Nintendo and those brands in particular. you're looking at people that came from that old generation of MIDI stuff, but did amazing stuff with it, and then they get these new tools and they can still do amazing stuff on the even more amazing hardware.
Yeah, I was always impressed with the stuff they could make back in the day with a little MIDI sequencer or whatever. A chip that has like 4 channels or something like that, and they're just doing crazy things with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much, that was just an E3 announcement too, so
right.
Very new stuff. Last but not least on the news front, and oh god, this one makes me mad, man. So Warner Brothers, under the New Line logo, set to remake the Lord of the Rings movies. Man, why? I don't even know. Why? Why do y'all need to remake? Well, first of all, there was enough Lord of the Rings from Peter Jackson to last, I don't know, at least 50 years. Good couple, 2 or 3 generations probably. Because, and I almost had to sit through this one time at a good friend of ours' house. When the extended editions came out, I ended up leaving about halfway through the second movie, and that was 6 hours in. I couldn't take it anymore. First of all, we're at a party, and I'm asked to be quiet because somebody's trying to watch the movie. I'm like, dude, you've seen this movie. I know you hadn't seen the extended one, but this is a party. Anyway, right. I'm getting off the. It's just you have like 9 to 10 hours with the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. That doesn't count the Hobbit movies, which were originally supposed to be just 2 movies, made into 3 movies.
Right.
And I don't even know this, but I'm willing to bet there's an extended version of that exists too. That's probably close to 9 hours. Did he put out an extended version of that one?
I can't remember hearing anything about it. That doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I'm aware that there is stuff that still did not make it in the movies. And right. I ask you, do you give a fuck that much that you are willing to accept that they want to remake them all over again? And this is barely 20 years after the fact. Because I know they started making them in 99 or 97 maybe. I think, when did the first one come out? 99? No. Because we were still at the CDO, and that was, I want to say 2000, 2001. We were waiting on them still.
Right. Sounds right.
So, yeah, we're not even 20 years in, or maybe just right at 20 years. But The Hobbit's not. The Hobbit, hell, it's what, 2012, something like that? Somewhere in there.
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know they didn't all come out at once.
But 2012.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know that you necessarily needed even the extended version of the Lord stuff, because there were games and stuff that you can expand on the lore. Like I love the Galadriel line throughout that.
Yeah.
And you get to see more and more of it in like different games, Rings of Power, all this other
There
stuff.
were some good games, yeah. I enjoyed some. Yeah.
So you do you need to reboot it? No. I don't think so.
No, I mean, it's just like Dune, man. When they rebooted, the sci-fi version sucked. So I was not really wanting this new version till I saw it, and then I'm like, holy shit, because it's just so it respects the original so much, whereas the sci-fi version did everything it could to look exactly the opposite of the original, to even pronounce the words the opposite of the original. That's how much they wanted to be different, and I could not stand that. But the new one looks great. Sometimes, man, I'm okay with it, but I'm just sick because Hollywood's just taking the easy way out. They've been doing this for years. It's just like remakes and whatever, just remakes and sequels. That's it.
Well, this is kind of a crossover point. We can bring Harry Potter back in. But really and truthfully, it's the environment, right? Like, I think one of the reasons Harry Potter did so well is not only because it was good PR or all this other stuff, but it's like where we're at with gaming. Like, you've got to be a pretty hardcore gamer to find these excellent games right now. Like the Dead Space 3 remake was great, or I keep saying Dead Space 3, Dead Space remake. But yeah, there are plenty of other great games out there. But as far as like the hive mind or whatever, what have you heard about Hogwarts? That's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people saying that it's funny because a lot of people say this is the game of the year, and then you hear the ones that go, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, I don't know, man. If you just go by numbers, it looks like it's just by numbers alone, it's hot. Then you talk about gameplay, and again, just like what you said about how it is, it can copy a lot of stuff from other, but that's all stuff that worked too. Stuff that's been proven. And to me, they just hit it. And we talked about that 40 seconds, that 40-second rule last episode, and I told you that this guy timed it and was talking like 15 seconds. I believe that because I now that I knew that, when I was playing a couple nights ago, I was just walking around and just pick a random direction and just start walking, and boom, there's something. It's either something to kill or it's a Merlin trial or a secret passage or just whatever, but it's something. And it's something that's probably furthering the game for you. With the exception of those few rooms, the mathematical rooms, we talk about kind of a little disappointment there. I agree. Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's my biggest disappointment is that I don't think so. There's nothing clothes-wise or object-wise in game that I'm like, oh, I gotta have this because it sounds so badass. This game isn't that. It's not like Diablo where you're going out and insert you're going out for a specific set or whatever. They do have outfit sets and whatnot, and maybe there's a method to it, and you can upgrade them and stuff. And I've been starting to get into that, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. Once you get something, you have it forever, so you can take it off and just change your cosmetics. You don't have to worry about that. But ultimately, I think that it would have been cooler maybe if that stuff was a little more important. So, like legendary stuff, I think they could be a lot. You can go into a store right now and buy legendary stuff that's probably better than what you have on, and that's a problem for me. There should be some decent stuff that might be a little better than what you have on. But those legendary things should be in those locked chests and them drawers, which some are, but what I mean is there's not good enough stuff. Like there's nothing,
right?
The holy grail of items, there's just not that kind of thing in the game. So I don't know what they would put in those chests to make them better.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things about the game that have been bugging me. Like, one, I don't know the word for it. Former me would call it a MacGuffin. There needs to be some kind of an explanation for your HUD of how you're aware of attacks coming. There just
spider sense.
Needs to be some part in the very beginning of the game where somebody's like, "Hey, here's this charm."
Right.
Now you'll know when somebody behind you is attacking.
That's a good point. There's a little plot hole.
Yeah, that, and I hate being a human radar.
Yeah.
Throwing out a Revelio, and which direction does that come from? Especially,
yeah, no.
I'm using a fake surround sound.
Yeah.
And that like messes with voices and that and some other stuff.
Yeah, I hear
that. Revelio definitely needs to be longer.
I hear that you can upgrade Revelio to go. It'll expand further out. Which
right.
I just recently did that. That bell thing, I am aware that it helps you find stuff. I don't even care about that bell. I hear it, and sometimes it's a little louder. But I mean, ultimately, you just look around. You're seeing everything, that's around you. So you go, okay, well, I can't get there from here, but obviously something's there. So you got to try and find a way on the other side of where you are. and you realize, okay, I can't get in there at all. So there's some secret to it. I don't even use that chime though. I don't know how good it is.
Well, the chime is to help you find build guide pages.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And the thing is, they'll flash for a second if you're not facing them directly, and then like slowly fade away.
Right.
So if you don't have direct eyes on it, you use them sonar to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, and that's how I usually find them too. Like I'll just do a Revelio. But see, and I kind of got smart too, because if you walk up to a statue and do Revelio, 9 times out of 10, it's going to have a page or something. If you find a big portrait or just something that you just do Revelio, because chances are you're going to find something there. So,
well, that's the thing is like if you hear a ping and you don't see where it's coming from, you look at the environment and say, okay, here's something big and weird. It should be right here.
Yeah, they just need to address it, like you said. Like you say, okay, here, Fig, here's a pendant that looks just like the object you're looking for, and it'll give you a spider sense type deal, and you'll also be able to tell when certain field guide pages are nearby or treasures or whatever. Yeah, that would be a simple explanation.
I think that spell should definitely be longer lasting. I know you can upgrade it for a wider radius, but I just feel like the whole time I'm walking around, it's like
Revelio. Yeah, I do that a lot too, but not as much as I would think. I just recently got into a part of the castle that I'd never even been in the other day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was happy about that. I mean, it's cool because think of how much time I've already been in the game, and I thought there's a whole wing I haven't even been in yet, and I was really I started going exploring, man. It's like starting the game over for the first time.
I will want to ask if you're doing what I'm doing. I am saving all of the large chests that I can find in Hogsmeade and Hogwart.
You talking about the ones with the eyeballs?
Everything that's a guaranteed Lego.
Oh, you don't have to save anything. Don't save anything.
No, you want to save those because you know where they're going to be. You can get back to that area easily, and once you get into later levels, it gives you a nice little pool that you can come back to and say, okay, well, I'm working with gear from 10 levels ago. Let me go upgrade this gear slot. You understand? Like once you're like level 30, 40, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure because from what I've been told, you don't have to worry about holding on to nothing.
No, I'm saying holding on to your guaranteed Lego chest in areas where you know where they're at, so that when you
you're saying wait to open them.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
So that you got high level Lego equipment later. That's guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, they do also a pretty good job of keeping you out of there. I mean, like it depends on how well you are at finding the demigods. I haven't gone out of my way to. I mean, like when I'm in an area, I kind of do Revelio and see if I can find a couple. But I have not dropped. There's a lot of guys that they just dropped what they were doing, and they did nothing but that to get all their Wingardium Leviosa up to 3rd level, and then they can go and open stuff way early if they do that. See, but
you mean Alohomora?
Yeah, Alohomora. Sorry, yeah, Alohomora. But so let's say if you're just doing it, yeah, if you're just playing it how I'm playing it, then they actually do very good at keeping you out of areas like that before you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually playing along as I'm supposed to, rather than just dropping what I'm doing and getting Moon's statues for him, because I think I've got 8 of the 9 I need for the Wingard or Alohomora 2.
Right.
Yeah. So
I've been beelining story. When I first started playing, I got this long list of spells that were available.
Yeah.
All locked. And now I'm down to, I think there's the curses that I haven't learned yet. I'm about to pick up one of the last purple ones, I think. And then I've got like 2 more. So I'm finally at the point where I'm like, okay, I can do some other stuff. Maybe, but I still got to get through the curse part to get some of the curses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been blowing through the main story. I'll do side stuff here. I might do one main story, at night maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of side stuff. It just depends. I'm just trying to savor the whole experience. It's not going anywhere. I know how, especially since I know how I play, because I'm not going to give 8 hours to it in one sitting. It's just not happening.
Right.
So for me, it's almost like it's just new every day.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's just, to me, that's what makes this game better than all the others. Because if it's like 6 months from now and I'm still feeling this feeling, then that's awesome. To me, they've hit the mark.
You have ADHD, and it's still early in your game playing experience.
It could change, certainly, but also right. Too, they could have the DLCs and stuff, and they could totally have a whole new kind of game going on as well. So that's another reason not to rush it, man. Give them time to get together, because there's a lot of people who have. And I'm sure the replayability of this game is good too. After you go through it once,
there are like house story quests,
right? Exactly. So you have at least that much.
To go back and do that.
Yeah.
But everything else just kind of feels like, as far as I know, it's not really worth it to keep the stuff you pick up from quests from other students.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get you anything. Asking for reward doesn't get you anything but gold, as opposed to cosmetic or item.
Yeah, I hadn't played it that way anyway. I've been playing it straight nice guy on this one. When I turn Slytherin, I'm going all hate. No doubt. But yeah, that's the basic things. Like, you can go back and just play each house. You'll definitely get a little bit difference, because I definitely want to see what each common room looks like. That was kind of a gripe. They could do way more with the common rooms.
I agree.
Especially at night, it's a ghost town.
At the very beginning, though, right?
What's that?
Because you could walk around in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like when you first got to the what do they call them? House hall or whatever.
Common room.
Yeah, the common room.
Yeah.
There was all this stuff to interact with, right?
Right. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, it's over.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
Yeah, like I still, every time I pass a cat, I have to pet one. I have to touch a globe. Every time I see something with an X on it, I'm hitting it, buddy. I'm sipping tea. I'm turning the phonograph on. I'm pruning hedges. All of them. All of it. But
I did feel like I missed out on something. I was under the assumption that pretty much everything you come back to. But apparently in the Room of Requirement quest, that little part where you walk through to get to Deep, you can lose some stuff there if you don't grab it on your way through.
Oh, yeah?
Right? Because you never see that room again.
Oh, after you get to Vivarium or something?
The Room of Requirement?
Yeah.
When you first go into it, it's just like all this junk in it.
Right. Oh, yeah. You mean walking around like the old school room. Yeah.
Right. You don't go back there. So
right.
Anything you don't pick up, gone.
Yeah, I was pretty diligent about that. Are we sure that you never, ever? I guess you wouldn't. It'd be cool, though, if they gave you an option to, like, go out and then, like, choose old school room or something like that. I bet you somebody will come out with a mod anyway, just so you can get back into it.
Right.
That was the other thing I touched on it, but yeah, there's a shit ton of mods out there, and nothing I saw that was really cool, but there'll be some better stuff.
I'm also I think I'm like level 20 or 21, and I think I've got like 11 maybe talent points that I haven't spent. Yeah,
I've spent all but 2 of mine, I think. Yeah, that's one of the mods, is a talent reset potion that you can get. That's pretty cool. That's something I expect the devs will put in the game eventually.
I hope they do. It really needs to be there.
I think that actually comes from inside the game. That was something developers had an option to use. So it wouldn't be impossible for them to turn it on.
Yeah.
It seemed like I was going to say something else. Hogwarts Legacy.
That's all you got to say, huh?
What can you say, man? It's just good stuff. Good stuff.
Playing more of it tonight.
Let's see. can't really talk about Star Trek Picard too much. It was a good episode. I probably need to watch it again, but obviously this episode will be all about Hogwarts Legacy. It looks like we'll talk more about Picard next week. I'll try and do better. I'm making sure B gets the episode where he can watch it and we can comment on it. Seems kind of stupid for me to have a one-sided conversation. Not only that, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what happened in that episode? Actually,
right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to think of like the first episode, and I'm only getting like little bits and pieces.
Yeah, last week when we were talking about it, I was going to watch it right before we came, to record, just so I could get it back. I always have to watch this stuff at least another time, but usually I wait till it's all out, then I'll go and watch it all again when I can do it more. I can't stand those gaps, man, those weeks, because you're like, what happened before? Usually those... when they rehash it at the beginning, that's great. Previously on, that always helps this old man. That's for sure.
Right.
What'd they do?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's an unfortunate thing that that's still a thing, and I can see how it's useful. But it's like, as a storytelling device, it sucks to have all these things that pop up, and it's like, this is a recall to that or a callback to that.
Yeah.
And it's painfully obvious when better storytelling can be done. Now, again, I've mentioned this before, The Expanse did it amazingly. Like, I went back before the last season and started watching it all over again.
Yeah.
And like everything that comes to a head at that final season, it's all there in that very first, I think it was the first shot of the first episode, the first scene. I thought that was just great storytelling.
Yeah, this one is done well. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah, I hate when they get like overly complicated. That was my biggest gripe about Doctor Who with Stephen Moffat. Seems like it just got a little too overcomplicated with the arcs, man. You couldn't miss an episode. Like, I like my Doctor Who where I can miss an episode and come back to an episode and it won't matter. That's just the way it's always been, kind of its own story. And
there's always like one or two episodes there that you can't miss, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
between Doctors.
Yeah, well, I don't mind, like a 2-parter or something, like a little mini arc, maybe a 3-parter. But I don't want the whole season to be one gigantic story. That's played out as far as I'm concerned. I really like the more. That's what's making the new Star Trek great, is the single episodes. Each one of them have they're all encapsulated in their own story. And they might do like a season-ending finale 2-episode thing, like old Next Generation used to do. Where you had like the Borg story at the end of the season, and the beginning of next season was the second part of it. That works, but I think you're asking a lot of your audience to try and remember, even the way we consume stuff nowadays. You're going to have to give it to us all in one go if you're going to do these massive arcs like that, because there's just too much to be lost in between. You see what I mean? If you're just watching it once, if you're watching it multiple times, you're going to get it. But if you just watch it once, then you're waiting until the next week, there's details you miss. Yeah. This guy thinks he's brilliant because he wrote this fucking big arc, and he's like, oh man, everybody's going to be so impressed with this story. They might be, if they could fucking stand it, if they could remember it, all your little brilliant details that you had to throw in. I wonder if they'll get this little nuance.
That's kind of the edgelord mentality I have an issue with these days. Like, I hear so many people gripe and complain about like how games are too easy or whatever.
Yeah.
And most games have a hard difficulty. They have like medium plus or classic modes.
Yeah.
Like that. You can always make it harder, and it's like these people don't understand that. If the company doesn't sell the game to a wide base, it's going to fail.
Exactly.
And most gamers are not looking for that experience.
And they're also, a lot of them, I mean, traditionally, especially for us, they're kids. So they got to make it where kids can play it too. you know?
Right.
And we're talking young kids. I'm not talking kids, because even, I'm talking like early kids that want to be able to play this stuff. There's an easy mode for a reason. Because the minute they get their shit beat out of them in the game, they're done. Mama, I don't like this series anymore. It just totally kicked my ass. Yeah.
I'm out.
Peace.
Kids with their tantrums.
Yeah, man. Throw that controller right through the TV.
Yeah.
But yep. Well,
I think that's it, unless you got something else.
Yeah, that's it. That covers all the news. Like I said, we didn't really have anything specifically planned to talk about, but the Hogwarts game definitely covered this episode for sure.
We'll probably bring it up more in future episodes.
Oh, no doubt.
It kind of feels like next episode is going to be a little Picard heavy.
Yeah, I think we need to. Well, we're going to have to talk about 2 and 3 in one shot. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a Picard heavy episode. And no telling what other news might come out. So, yeah, we really appreciate you guys sticking with us. And again, just remember to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button. Even if you don't like it right now, just help us grow, We'll get better. I promise. We get a little money behind Brian. We'll get all the necessary computer generated stuff to help make him look a little bit better. And,
all face shield.
Yeah, that's right, man. We'll do it up. We'll make it all real nice for you. So thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you next week. And as always, from Brian and me, we'll see you on the flip side.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.